possibility that is injected intravenously, metabolized in your liver, and then you exhale and metabolize via the breath. And we measure in the breath how good your liver is functioning. We also supply the device, and that's basically our business model. We make sure you get a device, you buy our test kits, and that's how our business is running. Right now we're in a situation that we have a CE certified serial product, that's the device, and we have the diagnostic drug approved in Germany, Austria and the UK at this point in time. So we're already commercializing, we're making revenue, and actually we're now looking at expanding the indications where we are active. It all started here in Berlin Charité with the application. The technology came from the Free University, and the reason they wanted to develop this was very simple. It was a liver surgeon who said, right now we have, somewhere around 7, 8, 9% of patients dying after a liver surgery. We want to reduce this, and we believe we can do this with this test. They did it, and nowadays in Charité, the mortality after liver surgery is somewhere around 1 to 2%. Additionally, they do about 15% more operations, so they help more patients, goes a lot smoother, so basically it's very good for the health economy of the Charité, and that's also why they are very eager to work with us. In Charité we sell about 500 test kits a year. One test kit basically starts at 400 euros, so you see that we are already generating quite significant revenues. We have placed 30 devices so far, mainly in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. In this quarter we expect to place 2 additional devices in the UK. We're gradually expanding the indications, started in liver surgery, liver transplantation. Nowadays we're focusing very much on chronic liver diseases, basically caused by hepatitis C or alcoholic liver disease. And of course we're also looking at new geographies. For example, the US, and there the big issue is that in obesity you get a fatty liver, and the fatty liver can inflame. So far there is no test that can determine whether you have an inflamed liver or not, other than taking a sample of your liver. We can do it via the breath, we have the data already. We have talked to the FDA, basically in a conference last week. The FDA already mentioned that they see our test as a very promising test, and they would like it to come to the US. So I guess we're on a very, very good track. Took a lot of years. As mentioned, we're now busy for somewhere around 8 years, but we're getting there. So far we have not burned too much money, I would say. 20 million is, I think, for a medical startup, a medical diagnostic startup, not that much, especially if you realize that many companies are somewhere around 40 to 50 million at this stage. So I guess we're good on track, and we're now basically looking for new investors to supply the next round, which should be somewhere around 30 to 35 million. And I have a strong belief that will work out. One of the key things, of course, that at a certain moment in time to deliver and to get this far is, on one hand, contain your costs. That's what we have done by keeping the company really small. I also replaced a lot of people because if people do not work or do not function in the structure that you have, you need to replace them every now and then. In Germany here, it means that within 6 months you have to say, now we make the cut. And that helped us basically to keep the company really small. We're now 15 people, including sales force. We have a direct sales force. We are a fully certified medical device manufacturer, including the hardware and software. We are a fully licensed pharmaceutical wholesaler, pharmaceutical producer, and we do this basically with 15 people. Also because we work with a lot of, we delegated a lot of production and work to specialized manufacturers and consultants, etc. But that's also a way to keep the cost base very low. That's basically where we are right now.
And so the devices that are doing the test after you take the pill, is that like a very big device? Is it something you can...
Yeah, it's a good question. Right now the device is around this big, weighing 130 kilograms. But we already have a prototype right now that only weighs 10 kilograms, that is portable, and that is basically the next step to be able to, first of all, reduce the cost of goods, which was crucial. When we started with the first devices, the cost of goods was somewhere around 80,000 euro. Nowadays, for the next generation device, we expect that we go towards 15,000 euros. This was also very crucial to be able to develop partnering with potential companies that want to work with us. I talked with several pharma companies, big pharma, like Novartis, Pfizer, etc. Showed them the device, and that basically was for them the trigger. Oh, now they're ready. Now we can start talking about, strategic partnership, making sure if they can manage the US entry to be included in studies, we want to work with them, and I expect that in the next, probably this year or maybe beginning of next year, we will get into partnerships with pharma companies.
Is the test right now only, you said, for people that have already had the liver transplant surgery, or can it be proactive as well?
The way it's used right now, that's the majority of our revenues are coming from liver surgery. So you have a liver tumor, and many times, it was based on the gut feeling of the liver surgeon, I'm going to do this operation or not. Nowadays, the surgeon has so much more data with our test that they can...
It's a screening before.
It's a screening before with an incredibly high predictive value. And it's also used in liver transplantation. We will start this summer a project financed by the Ministry of Health in the Netherlands, where we start to measure the liver in the donor before the explantation of the liver has taken place, and then the liver, if it's good, will be transplanted into a person on the waiting list.
Can it be proactive as well, or is there not enough value for someone? Like, if I was going to do it just because I've been drinking alcohol my whole life, is there a market for it? Way worse for the Germans, not me. Is there any sort of proactive side of the system, or is it only when you're at the very worst part?
No, it has a very high predictive value. Basically, how it works is right now the gold standard is you take a sample of the liver, you send it to a laboratory, a pathologist looks at it under a microscope, and then he says, well, you have around this much issues with your liver. What we did is we compared those histology data with our test, and there we see that a very good correlation that the more advanced your liver disease is, the lower your Limax value is. Test is called, by the way, Limax. And we have those data, and then it works basically that in the different stages that have been predefined by some professor at a certain moment in time, we can make, you can determine whether these cutoffs correlate to a certain value of our test. That works very well, and basically that shows that we can also there non-invasively stage each patient on whether he's already in a situation where there's no way, a point of no return has passed, or how much time. The idea is that we get into a situation that based on our value, we can tell you, well, you have roughly 5 years to live, or maybe 3 months. That's a little bit into the future. The same story is true for basically the fatty liver disease. And there we expect that we will get into the same situation.
That's on the diabetic side?
Especially in the US, basically you become obese and then you develop diabetes type 2. So what we have seen already, the funny thing is, this test is really a new dimension in liver analysis. And every doctor that I tell this story to basically comes up with ideas that he wants to test. What they did is they tested this in patients undergoing what is called bariatric surgery, basically surgery in obese patients to make the stomach a bit smaller. And then you start losing weight. We did tests there, and there we saw indeed that the moment you start losing weight, your diabetes disappears, that's one thing that was known, but also that your liver function dramatically improves. And so we see a lot of potential basically, and we believe that this truly has the potential to become the additional liver function test that has been missing until now. The interesting thing is that basically the reason I was at a certain moment in time approached for this startup, and I looked at it, and my first impulse was, no, there's no such thing. From my training, I'm a medical doctor. I used to work in the intensive care. Later on, did an MBA. And this was my first impulse. I've seen it in the ICU. There is no liver function test that predicts how good your liver is functioning. Then I shortly looked online, and I read a couple of scientific articles. And within 5 minutes, I called the headhunter and I said, yeah, I want to be there. And yeah, that's where I am right now, since 7 years.
Wow. Congratulations.